Okay, so we have a bit of an issue. Some of you all, and I'm not saying anyone in this chat, I'm not saying anyone in this stream, anyone who might be watching, but some of you need to have like the newspaper rolled up and need to be smacked in the nose. Recently, I'm sure you saw, as of like a couple of days ago, Tucker Carlson made this huge announcement where he said he is no longer supporting the Republican Party. And as expected, a bunch of people got really stupid about it. Now, we're not going to be talking about those people specifically, and I'm not going to like put them on blast or anything like that. But
no naming and shaming.
No naming and shaming right now, but like this is the significant problem that a lot of us hear from, you know, the left of the political spectrum, really get fooled by. If you haven't been like paying too much attention over the last couple of years, especially over the last couple of years, it's been going on for a long time, but especially over the last couple of years, there is a huge cottage industry booming of people who are shrouding themselves behind the aesthetic of left populist rhetoric and using it to make really explicitly right-wing talking points. And when they do this, they tend to be really, really sympathetic to people like Tucker Carlson and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who also recently said that she was leaving the Republican Party or something similar like that, because they are right populists. And whenever they say, well, I'm not supporting the Republican Party, they give this idea that they are somehow above it all. They're independent. They are at their core kind of apolitical. They're political in the sense that
they're no longer on the right.
Yeah, they're no longer on the right. They're for the workers. They're for the working class. And a lot of people think that when people like Tucker Carlson say that they're not going to support the Republican Party, that means they are going to be able to be pulled over to leftist ideals. And I need all of you to understand, when I whack you with the newspaper, that you are being played. You are a mark, and it's unfortunately working. As Admiral Paco said, populist does not equal leftist. I've been going through a little bit of a controversy online recently. I had the gall, the sheer audacity, the caucasity even, to say that I've kind of come back around to being a believer in the concept of horseshoe theory. And there is a reason why I am becoming more of a believer in horseshoe theory. And it's because, for me, the axis of horseshoe theory is about populism. It's not about left or right. Left populists, right populists, does not matter. Populism is something that both the left and the right can share. You know, we all have these tendencies, these populist tendencies. We all want to be vanguards for the working class. Sometimes populism leads to really, really good, like, social policies. Sometimes it really does not. It leads to really bad social policies. And the reason why I say horseshoe theory is kind of true is because the Venn diagram of left populists and right populists tends to be uncomfortably large. I'm not saying it's a full circle, but like anything bigger than 1% of the circle is uncomfortably large to me. If you truly want to bring people over from the like right into populist rhetoric, into left populism, into leftist ideals, you don't do that by starting with people who are already at the far right end of the populist spectrum. They almost never do that. It is way easier to bring people in who are closer to the center than it is to bring people who are already to the far right. Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like them, They're not abandoning the Republican Party because they suddenly gained class consciousness and suddenly realized that they were wrong. They're abandoning the Republican Party because they are hedging their bets that the Republican Party is about to swing full fascist, and that a new version of the Republican Party, where further and further right candidates keep getting dropped, are going to be run.
Oh, and for someone like MTG, she realizes Trump isn't a true believer. She still is. Yeah, no, exactly. Mm-hmm. This is the whole politics of power more than actual belief. These are people, the people we're talking about today on the left and the right tend to be in the authoritarian quadrants of that whole compass doohickey. Yeah, it's self-preservation when and if prosecution happens. But their first and foremost necessity is to be safe and to be in control and to stop anyone else from being able to stop them. Tucker Carlson is still on the right. Marjorie Taylor Greene is still on the right. And anyone that believes otherwise is, like Saige was saying, a mark. These are deeply unserious, deeply conniving people. Unfortunately, we have had an influx of people that I thought were smarter falling for this.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with Tucker Carlson or Marjorie Taylor Greene, but with people supporting a particular candidate who had some unfortunate tattoos and doubled down.
Look, I don't want to say, I want to be perfectly clear. Platner has the nomination. If you live in Maine, you should vote for him in the general. You absolutely should.
But there were too many people advocating for him before.
Yeah, there were too many people advocating for him before and seeing all of the red flags and writing them off. So many high-profile people even just, like, genuinely doing the whole, like, victim blaming bullshit and doing the entire, like, thing that we have been criticizing the right for doing for several years when it comes to, in particular, Donald Trump, but literally all of these people on the right that have been outed for, like, sexual violence and sexual misconduct. And look, I'm not saying that a politician has to be perfect. And in fact, if you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, you'll know that I have been a ardent believer in vote blue no matter who in several elections. And I have been an ardent believer in being the kind of person to make tactical decisions when it comes to politics without making everything a like a purity test, right? But guys, I looked at the main competitor to Platner during the primary, and his platform was as good and sometimes better.
Often better. And if not better, more detailed. Because he's been a politician. Because he's actually worked in politics. Platner hadn't. That was another thing that I wanted to, like, get off my chest with regards to Platner, is I need you all to recognize that it's actually good if we have people who are experienced, like, running for office, like people who know what they're doing in politics. I recognize that we all have we all love to valorize people like AOC for being, you know, what was she, like a waitress, I think, when she first started her campaign? An upstart nobody
who gets into politics and changes the world. We all love that idealism. And sometimes it's great with people like AOC. Like, ultimately, they made the right choice.
Whether you agree with that or not, based on, you know, people's perception of how she has performed, we are heavily of the opinion she has done amazingly.
For somebody who doesn't have any political experience otherwise.
Because she has that customer service experience. She knows how to talk to people and to deal with people. And
She knows what it's like to be at the bottom.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that that's not good. I am saying, however, that people who already have political experience and are progressive is a really, like, it's a really easy W, guys. I'm telling you.
Especially when they have a political, like, resume that shows their record voting to the left consistently in the past.
Yep.
Having someone say, oh, I am the most progressive person you've ever seen, but you have no evidence to hold them to say, I know your record, then you don't know what you're getting. It's a gamble. Mm-hmm. It's an unnecessary gamble.
House representative isn't a terrible entry place into national politics either. It's not. And sometimes, and like I said, sometimes that's a good, like, entry point for people who are trying to get experience in the national politics. And sometimes you have people like AOC who do.
But key word in that, national politics.
Mm-hmm.
Get started local.
Yeah. Like, sometimes you have people like AOC who run campaigns and get national politics just from the ground up. And that's great. Oh, AOC worked for a senator as an intern too. I actually didn't know that. That means that she had more experience than Graham Platner. Graham Platner's experience was, well, I was in the military 15 years ago. And I refused to cover up this tattoo because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think that was speculation by somebody.
But he did defend keeping it and not getting it removed. Or at least downplayed whether he would or not. It's the number of people that defended him doing that is really
already
disappointing.
Concerning, yeah.
It's really concerning.
Also, she has degrees in international relations and economics. Even better. But this is what I'm getting at. Is like, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to sit here and just, like, scold everybody for voting for Graham Platner. I mean, I'm doing that a little bit, but I'm not. If you are in Maine, if you are able to vote for Graham Platner in the general election, you should do it. I want to be perfectly clear when I say that.
Yeah.
If anyone comes into the comment section here and tries to tell you that I am saying you should not vote for Graham Platner, they are lying to you. I think you should vote for Graham Platner. However,
vote for him now.
Vote for him now.
But you should not have been supporting him during the primary.
Especially when there was another candidate that was better. Sometimes the best or only option is to vote for the least worst person.
Exactly. Yes. And always vote for the least worst person.
Yep.
No matter what.
But yeah, I just, like, I want to point out that this is part of that same issue. And I'm not saying that Platner is going to be bad. Platner is, like, might end up being a great politician. The thing is that there are red flags with Platner. A lot of people were comparing Platner, I think, when they were, like, criticizing them, a lot of people were comparing Platner to Fetterman. And I think that's off the mark. I'm not concerned that Graham Platner is going to be another Fetterman. I'm concerned that Graham Platner is going to turn into Cenk Uygur. I'm concerned that Graham Platner is a populist, and that's all that he is.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that the, like, quote-unquote leftist set dressing is just that. It's set dressing. And that once he's in office...
left, right, whatever, no matter whatever gets in power,
yeah,
is going to be what he supports and does.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's, like, the kind of politics that I want to support. Now, again, vote for him in the general, because all we have is his word. As far as...
let him prove himself.
Let him prove himself. But God dang it, y'all. We gotta be more, like... we gotta be more careful when we're vetting these people during the primaries. During the general, I'm going to tell you to vote for whoever has the D next to their name. But during the primaries, we have the ability... It's the same argument that I and everyone else was making in 2020 when it was Biden v. Bernie. Everyone was saying, well, Biden's the only one who can win. I don't know if I believe that, but it was the primary. That's the time to start supporting the candidate based on your principles.
It's not even just discerning about populists, Paco. It's we have to be more discerning at all, like, during the primaries. Like, there is a reason there is a series of elections leading up to the election.
Yep.
We need to hold these people to account, hold their feet to the fire, find out what their actual positions are, and vote for the person to represent the party we want to vote for, that is the best person for the job, because no matter what, we want the least worst person in that spot.
This all started because we're talking about Tucker Carlson, right? We're talking about Tucker Carlson saying he's no longer supporting the Republican Party. And we all know that that is a grift. And you now know, if you were one of the people who were like, oh, Tucker Carlson, we should work with Tucker Carlson to try to get through populist parties. It's a grift. Stop it. Don't make me get the newspaper. It is because of this little cottage industry here, this little, like, people who are populists, but that's kind of all they are. They're not really leftists. Not in, like, the traditional sense. They use the left as set dressing, but when you actually ask them to do any real value seeking, well, those trans issues, well, that they're not important. That's not working class. That's bourgeoisie.
That's how you end up with a country that murders everyone that wears glasses.
I just want people to be more aware of this kind of thing, because a concerning number of people saw Tucker Carlson saying, I'm not going to support the Republican Party, and went, oh, Tucker Carlson, working class hero now.
He's still a fascist.
He's still a fascist. It's because he's a fascist that he's saying this. He's not supporting the Republican Party because they're not far right enough yet. And that should concern you. It should concern you that the Republican Party, as far right as they are, is not far right enough for Tucker Carlson or MTG to support them. They are hedging their bets. Yeah, so that's pretty much all we have to say here. So we will see you next time.